Hey, I'm Chelsea. My coffee mug filled with Dayquil today. This is Coffee with Chelsea, a podcast. Today I want to talk about ghosting. Ghosting, if you don't know, breaking off a relationship by stopping all communication and contact with the partner without any apparent warning or justification. You're like in a relationship and then you're like, bye bitch, and never are heard from again. Now, in this day and age of texting and social media and everything else, it is super apparent when somebody begins ghosting you. It's almost like hard to ghost somebody these days because like you're so accountable. Don't you kind of miss the old days when you didn't have a phone or Facebook or anything like that? And if you didn't like somebody, you were just like, oh, sorry, I'm never going to see you again. This doesn't matter. But I mean, ghosting, we've all gone through it. We've done it more than likely. But I mean, does it like make us worse people? I mean, if you think about it, ghosting makes it acceptable for you to cut all ties without any accountability. And that's just a little bit fucked up, isn't it? I mean, I've definitely ghosted people before. I've ghosted girlfriends in the past, just friends. Calm it down, people. And of course, I've ghosted guys that I have dated. One of the last times I ghosted somebody, it was when I was living in the Panhandle of Florida. And he was a musician. Oh, he had long hair, like really my kryptonite. I should have been totally about this guy. Went on a few dates and he was a nice enough guy. Then I realized I did not want to see him naked. Do you know how awkward it is when you're going on a date with somebody and you're like, I don't want to see you naked. I don't want us to like sleep together. I don't want any of this to happen. And he wasn't like a bad looking dude either. He was actually really good looking, but I just was not feeling like that sexy time vibe. So luckily he lived about an hour away and I had a night job. So it was actually pretty easy to ghost that guy. But at the same time, that's probably one of the last times I ever ghosted somebody. I think I decided after that was just to have the awkward conversation. Because it just made me feel bad ghosting him. Like, this person's trying to hang out with you and, like, being all cool and thinking nothing's wrong. And here I am, totally not vibing with you, totally, like, not feeling it. And what, I was just scared? I was afraid to do this? I don't know. It just seemed a little silly to me. So now I just make it a point that if there's an awkward conversation to be had, well, I just nut up and I have the damn thing. I mean, ghosting, I feel like, is three things. One, it's rude. There's just really no other way to explain that. Like, it's just rude. Like, you have either a business relationship, a friendship, a real relationship with a person, and then all of a sudden you decide there's something wrong and you can't tell them about it. Hashtag rude AF. I mean, seriously, if you can't have the respect to talk to somebody about the things that are bothering you, then you know what? That person has no business being in a relationship with you anyway, and you got stuff that you got to work on. So one, ghosting is rude, and if someone did this to you, trust me, they rude too. Two, ghosting is cowardly. I mean, it's like levels of cowardly lion cowardly, because you don't want to have the conversation. You don't want to tell them why you're wanting to end this relationship. And that in itself makes you afraid. It makes you a coward because you don't have the balls to stand up and say, you know what, this is what the problem is. Because really, if you think about it, one of two things are going to happen if you actually brought up the problems. One, it would get fixed. Or two, you both agree it can't get fixed and you just separate. But sometimes when you do that, you separate on better terms. Finally, it is manipulative. If you think that totally cutting somebody off isn't messing with their psyche, you are sadly mistaken. I've had people ghost me. My senior year of high school, my whole senior class turned against me, but what really hurt was when my group of friends all of a sudden stopped talking to me. Now, I figured it was because of social peer pressure. I mean, we were all in high school. What are you going to do? But they didn't tell me that. They didn't even bother to have the conversation with me. They just stopped talking to me, stopped hanging out with me. And all I could think is, what the fuck did I do to deserve this? And pretty much every time that has happened, you know, my anxiety sadly gets the best of me. And these are the things that I go through. I'm like, what's happening? I wish we could have talked about it. I could have totally fixed it. But that's the thing about ghosting. The person's too afraid to have the conversation. So you don't even give the other person a chance to fix it. Who knows? Maybe if I'd have told that guy, hey man, I'm just not really feeling this, we could have like parted nicely and actually had a good friendship, instead of being like awkward acquaintances that casually would like say hi if they happen to run into each other at the bar. So that's just something I think that everyone should think about themselves. Like, does ghosting make you a better person. Like if you've ghosted somebody, think about how you feel in the end. And if you're someone who's like, oh, whatever, I ghost people all the time and I don't give a damn. Holy shit, you and the Grinch have so much in common. Maybe your heart will grow 3 sizes by Christmas time. Now, I know that not everybody is confrontational. I am a very confrontational person. It does not bother me. But I mean, even if you aren't confrontational, it's okay to like get a little bit of courage up and just have the conversation that needs to be had. I actually had a guy that tried to ghost me one time, and me and him were like really good friends that also slept together. Whatever. Sorry, Dad, if you're listening to this. And he started dating another girl. I know. So I found out, okay? And he was not telling me, he wasn't answering my phone calls. Oh my God, it was like a total thing. I, no lie, showed up to his apartment. Showed up and I was like, yo, what up, man? Shut the door. I said, me and you, we're about to have a conversation and I'm not leaving till it's over. And we yelled at each other for about 2 hours. There were tears. Maybe things got thrown. But in the end, like we came to a head about what was going on. He was honest with me about it. He had the hard conversation and we are actually friends to this day. Maybe a few hours of awkwardness, but in the end, I think it's going to like make you happier in the long run because you might salvage something that isn't worth losing all the way. So that's my thing today. This Dayquil is really affecting me well. I think I'm going to switch it to NyQuil so I can get some sleep. I am Chelsea. My coffee is filled with Dayquil, and this has been Coffee with Chelsea, a podcast.